And we're back. Life. We're back with more Shacknews Awards. This time we are talking about the best action adventure game of the year 2021. This is going to be an interesting category because there's some indie games that qualify, there's some AAA games that qualify for sure.
This
Uh,
is
it's going to
pretty
be,
stacked.
this is a very stacked category this year. Anyone who said 2021 was a bad year for games doesn't know what they're talking about because there was a lot of high quality games, especially in this category, that launched this year. So, who wants to kick it off with a nomination?
I'll
You
go
know,
first. Oh, Blake, go ahead.
I'm gonna give Death's Door a nomination
Nice.
for this. For me, the A Link to the Past is kind of like my personal, like, what I think of. Breath of the Wild is also another awesome example, of course, but like, just in my head, if something can give me Link to the Past vibes,
Yep.
then I am with it, and I totally got like all the like dungeon crawling and exploring like vibes from Death's Door. It's also just a really uh, whimsical world, a lot of good humor, a lot of homages to like other stuff like Studio Ghibli, things like
And the
that.
art style is gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. Silent protagonist. I love that stuff. It hits it hits a lot of marks for me, and it's it's delicious. It's just a delicious little treat.
For me, Death's Door is like this perfect mashup of Zelda, Diablo, and Hades. Kind of the more intricate mechanics and attacks of Hades. But I love the story. I love the character, specifically the NPC who gets super excited when they have to do a lot of paperwork, because I also love to type, as it turns out. So I identified that on a deeply personal level. It's just a really solid game. I'm enjoying the story, that art style, and just the solidness of the combat is keeping me coming back. And this is a game that I know others have talked about, but it stands out specifically because Bill Lavoie, co-editor in chief Bill Lavoie, was he mentioned it to me a week or two ago, and I've jumped in ever since, and just have really enjoyed it.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah,
My
I've
part.
had a good time. Only played it a little bit, but I played it enough to really kind of get an idea of the gameplay loop, the mechanics. Very tight. The level design is very cool. It has that. It's not that you're circling back too much or anything, but it does have this
Like
design where,
interconnectedness, right?
yeah,
Like,
and as you
yeah,
it tangible physical evidence of progression,
I love that.
which I love in games, and
That's a
that
good
game
point.
the game does it
Um,
very well. Yep, go ahead,
because
Bill.
I that's a good point because I was at a boss fight, and for anyone who's gotten this far, I was at the grandma boss fight, and started it. I didn't know the mechanics the first time I got in there, right? And I didn't do that well, and I did all right, but I died. So when I respawned, it turned out that I hadn't actually opened up a certain pathway that would like let me shortcut back to it. So it's kind of frustrating because I had to take the long way around and like discover like what haven't I done. Um, and I opened up the pathway and then I went back in there. And the second time I died because I did something stupid. I realized like I made this mistake. I knew better than to do this, and I did it, and I screwed up. But that tangible way that you change the world, because I had actually gone back and done what I should have done in the first place and unlocked this little path, I was able to like just run past the enemies straight back to the boss fight, no messing around, get right back in there, start the fight again. And I'm not a big fan of being pushed back a long way. Like, don't make me prove the nonsense to you again to get back to the boss fight. Like, these enemies are nothing. Like, I can deal with them, no problem. I don't need to prove that again. Just let me get back to the fight. So I don't want to have to grind to get back there, and I want to just get back into the fight, correct my mistake, move on, and get more of the adventure side of things. But that
But
that
but if
resonated
you
with me.
If you choose to grind, though, you're rewarded because like currency is super valuable in that game. It's
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But
just doled out left and right.
when you're kind of like rolling, you don't want to be held up. So I appreciated that it was like, hey, you're back here, but since you did the work, you can actually get right back to where you were quickly, and you can continue on with what you want to do.
For sure.
For me, it's a matter of being in the zone. Like this happens in a lot of games, particularly the Souls games, and this gives me Souls vibes in some ways. Where when I've been working on a boss for a few attempts, I'm kind of in a zone where I know their patterns, I know what I want to do, and I don't want to come out of that zone to do a lot of backtracking. So if I can just run there or take the most expedient route, I love that. And that's why like games like Souls, like you can just run around shit. You don't actually have to do a lot of fighting if you don't want to. And this game has that as well. That way I can just stay in my headspace of, staying synced into the boss and the patterns I'm trying to learn and execute on. Death's Door is great.
No.
Yeah, it
no.
is. No, it's
That's the end of my nomination, I guess.
in conclusion, Death Door is great.
Yeah, I
For
love
anecdotal, but it's probably one of like 2 or 3 games that when I don't have to be playing a bunch of games for deliberation purposes, I'm gonna actually just go back to.
Yeah.
Like because I want to. And it's not to say that all these games aren't great, but obviously like certain things resonate with each of us, and Death's Door is one of the ones that I'm like, okay, that's one that I'm going to make sure over the holidays, like I go back there and I finish that. So,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that on Switch?
Donovan?
Death's Door. I played it on PC. So
I don't
I'm
think
not
it is because I
100% sure.
looked.
Yeah. It
And I ended up going Steam. Like I wanted it on Switch, but it's on Steam, so I was like, okay.
Let me check.
I'll tell
It
you,
is on
man.
Switch.
It is on Switch? I didn't think it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
It had a wide console release very late this year.
$20.
How did I miss that? Okay, well, I'm playing on PC and really enjoying it. So.
Oh no, it's great on PC.
Yeah,
it's a game though that I want that pickup and playability that you get with a Switch, and
relaxing on the couch.
I'm very willing to sacrifice performance in the name of portability.
You don't especially need it with this type of game either. Like it's not that demanding. You won't lose much, which
it's
like.
It's a perfect game that I could play while watching TV. And that to me is that Switch use case. Animal Crossing, great example of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like Death's Door, I think it's like Hades. Hades runs better on PC without a doubt. It's gorgeous. But I really like being able to pick it up, play it for a little bit, get really mad, throw it down. Celeste was like that too, where like those games just kind of sit perfectly on the Switch.
You have to remember, it's always an adventure. Speaking directly to the adventure part of this category, it's always an adventure when Pothead is there. Like I actually I mean, as soon as I saw, I chuckled. That was good. I was like, yeah.
But yeah, Death Story is out on Switch. What other action adventure games are we nominating here? There's a lot different genres that could probably qualify for this category. So Death's Door is a solid nomination, but there's other games out there.
I take your Death's Door and challenge it with a Deathloop.
Oh shit! Go through the lore, and then you're in a loop.
The deadly death of Death's Door has been decidedly deceived by Deathloop.
Doors in a loop, and
yeah. I mentioned this in another category, but I really feel like Arcane upped their game impressively with Deathloop to the point where you don't have to just stealth it anymore. You won't be punished so hard for that. You can go loud and proud and kick dudes off of cliffs and link them together and shoot one person in the head and make all their heads explode. And there's so many good platforming elements to Deathloop, and it's like they really did a good job with their movement and traversal through that game too. I know I said platforming, but like it builds into that action and fun of the game. They really nailed down their movement. They really nailed down their gunplay. Beating somebody up with either your machete or your boot is quite fun.
For sure.
Just
You
Mighty
have-
Boot of the Year. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
tugging at my Duke Nukem heartstrings.
Put on the
Yeah, to
Havoc
the
Slap
king.
and kick somebody. You
And
will be
also
so
just-
happy.
Foot presence in FPS. Hugely
Yeah.
important to me.
Look,
Like,
I have a
these-
body. Yeah.
These characters need to have feet. And we had them in 96 with Duke, and Deathloop was like, not only did they just say, hey, foot presence, they literally gave you the Mighty Boot.
Mhm.
Love it. So, yeah, right there is deserving for action adventure, TJ. Completely
One of
agree.
the things I love about Deathloop is that when I started playing it, I was playing it for guide purposes initially. So I was actually kind of like less about the exploration and enjoyment and more about I need to do this. So of course, my first way of doing things is always stealth. I'm always stealth first. I want to see if I can get through flawlessly. That's the payoff for me. And then I did
Yes.
that. And then I had to go back and restart because that's a thing in Deathloop. And when I went through the level again, I was like, you know what I don't want to do is stealth twice because it took me like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So then I was like, fuck these guys. And I just killed them because I used the versatility of the action to get to the adventure of like, how do I open this door? How do I do this? What can I do with that? I have a crank and I've got 2 places to put it. Which one do I choose? Like, I used the versatility of the action to sort of unlock the ability to walk around freely in the world and experience what it had to offer.
And talk about a game that just like gives you so many different tools in which to build your style of approach to every given situation. I really enjoy the perk system in that game and how it gives you things like if you sprint at a dude and run into them, you can knock them back to the ground. And or if you put on this other one, you can like basically he calls it crab walking, but basically crouch walking like twice as fast. It's you build loud, you build silent, you build bullet heavy, you build melee heavy. You can build whatever you want to build to do in this game, and I really enjoy that amount of options as you go through Deathloop.
Well,
Yeah.
you and Bill have also like together you've made this point that like in that game for me, like fucking up my plan is almost as fun as executing it because then I just get to make some other crazy shit happen that I didn't plan on, which is as rewarding in a different way.
There's always that moment in stealth, and not always. Like sometimes you get it right? We've all had that big payoff where you clear the entire area and no one knows you're there. But there's always that time when you go, like, you're sneaking up behind the dude and you're gonna take him out, and he turns around and you're like, "You brought this on yourself, bro." And then
Yeah.
it's just a shit storm, right? And
Mhm.
yeah, Deathloop
It's
definitely has that.
It's an excellent homage to 70s like science fiction as well and spy thrillers. You know, the aesthetic of that game is awesome.
Yeah,
I love
what is
it.
the term I'm looking for here? Like it's the sort of like that double feature
Dayglow?
Quentin Tarantino made.
Oh, Grindhouse.
Grind-
You're looking
Yeah,
Grindhouse.
at
it has a very distinctive grindhouse feel to it, and I dig that.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely does. It even feels like they put like that cinematic filter, that gradiency over it.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that stuff. I mean, I know nobody really talks about Wet, but like Wet had a lot of that too, and I loved it for it, and like I get similar vibes, honestly, like from Deathloop's aesthetic, and I'm all for it. Like,
I like the floating spoopy words.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, those are cool. It's a really cool way of like kind of putting down guideposts, but working them into the theme and in the environment.
And they're
Yeah.
sassy.
They're super sassy.
Mhm.
They're sassy. They got,
And they're
they
supposed to be
got-
like you find out they fit very well with what
Yeah.
you're doing. Yeah.
You kill your first guy, and it's like, have I done this before? And those words just like, yes, 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 yes.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, that part that is very much a laugh out loud game for me
Yeah,
in all
yeah.
in all the right ways.
It's extremely well written, and it's not intrusive with how it does that stuff. It's just kind
Yeah.
of there. It adds to it every
It-
time.
That also, like a lot of things do this, but I get very Nintendo vibes from it. Like they don't do this as much anymore, but it used to be like in a Zelda game, you'd have a villager say, like, I heard if you press A, you'll swing your sword. I don't know what an A is, but you're like, oh yeah, I get it. And like this game does that, but it's even funnier and wittier about
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
And talk about a menagerie of like Koopa Kid esque weirdo targets to hunt down.
They are the Koopa kids. That's brilliant.
Wow.
They are the
together,
Koopa
but
kids. Yeah, they totally are.
okay, that's a solid nomination and a
Yeah.
great game. Like we've been singing their praises a couple times. I know it hasn't taken that many awards yet, but I have a feeling it's going to show up very high on people's top tens of the year. So yeah, do we have any other nominations for this category?
I feel Psychonauts 2 deserves another nomination. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record today, but the game hasn't been mentioned very much so far in the awards, and it's a really good game. It's a solid
It's on my
game.
top 10 games of the year list, Greg. It's just I think there's a lot of these categories are stacked. So it's not that we're
Well,
I
it's
think
it's really weird. Like to your earlier point, Asif, like this was a great year for games, but it does seem like some categories have more stuff to strut than others. Like it depends on the category we're talking about a lot of times. Like
yes.
hardware was pretty thin. This category is not, right? Like
And like we're gonna get to it in a later category, but FPS genre, for instance,
yeah,
it wasn't the best year
no.
for FPS. Deathloop stands
Deathloop
out.
could be nominated there too.
Deathloop
Yeah.
is a huge standout. Halo Infinite's a huge standout in that
Mhm.
category. But we also had Battlefield. We also had some COD and some
Do
other
we
games.
have Battlefield? Like I don't know. Some people have it more than others, right? But
I
yeah.
bought it. Or
Yeah.
I didn't buy it. I have that whatever Origin Access Premiere turned into. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
I feel bad that David hasn't. David, have you played Psychonauts 2? You can't, right? Because you don't have a gaming PC and you don't have an Xbox.
Oh, I have a gaming PC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
PC. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I've played some of it. Yeah. No, I was a fan of the first one way back when. Yeah. Well, I play with the Rift 2 now, in which I'm totally untethered. But yes, I have a really nice
You
gaming
mean
PC.
Quest 2?
Yeah, I do. I keep calling it like Meta, Oculus Rift,
They killed
Quest.
the Rift. Because
Yeah.
Oculus Rift was maybe the best brand possible for virtual reality.
That's
So
still what comes out of my mouth.
Facebook,
Yeah,
in their
Facebook.
infinite wisdom,
Facebooked all over it.
had to not only ruin their brand, but the Oculus brand. And now it's the Meta Quest 2.
Yeah,
So get it right, or you will be sued.
I will.
You
No.
know.
I'm actually playing it on PlayStation, Greg. I've been playing more on that platform because like I have a PS5 and there aren't a lot of PS5 exclusives, so I'm just playing more games in general on that. And my gaming PC has been out in the living room. But yes, I really enjoy Psychonauts 2. It certainly fits the adventure slice of this category very, very well because that's what Tim Schafer does. Like Full Throttle is my favorite adventure game of all time, probably.
Hell yeah.
And so I'm always here for what he does. And I love the original Psychonauts. I like this one too. I just feel like the action part. I think a lot of people define genres by the first game of a type that they play. And for me, the two biggest influences are Zelda and Diablo. So I tend to gravitate to those style of action adventure games for whatever that means to whoever's talking about it.
Back to Death's Door, that makes perfect sense that you would nominate that game.
Yeah, that's right up my alley. Yeah.
I do think that game like kind of nails this category.
It's like, Diablo and Zelda, and
to your point, like Psychonauts 2 is definitely an adventure game.
Yeah.
Some of the action is not as intense as some of these other games in this category.
Right.
But it's a good nomination, Greg. I appreciate it. And I think you're right. This game does deserve recognition. And we're gonna keep, luckily, Greg, there's more awards to give out. And the game of the year has not yet been decided. Any other nominations for this category?
Yeah, I have one because I feel like it's been somewhat forgotten. But I'm gonna nominate Resident Evil Village.
I knew it
because it was a lot of fun, both on the adventure end and on the action end. I think that some of that even kind of hinders the horror side almost with the amount of action that was going on. But it had some awesome boss fights, which I think that some of the other Resident Evil games were lacking when it came to actually being able to fight the enemies in some situations. But yeah, I think they made some improvements on some of the stuff from 7. There's some really cool weapon customization stuff there too, and it's got some solid jumps in there too. I think I was really happy with. But I think that if it's going to keep going the FPS route, I think this was a step in the right direction. He just need a better protagonist than Ethan.
Yeah, You got right to the heart of it. Like I'm one of the biggest Resident Evil fans on staff. I had to talk Greg off a figurative ledge a week or so ago because he was messaging me like, "This new movie is terrible. What do we do?" I'm like, "It does look terrible, but they're all terrible. So just sit tight. It's okay." But I wish I liked Seven and Village more than I do, and I think Ethan fucking Winters. Ethan's so bland he doesn't even literally have a face or a head. Winters is the problem with those games.
Well,
He's
you
such a
are
terrible
him,
character.
David. You were Ethan Winters the whole time.
Thankfully, I'm not. Thankfully, I'm not.
I mean, I think him being a dad was pretty much the only character they gave him in this one, which is
Yeah.
enough, emotional, I guess, weight for some of the storytelling they're trying to go for. But it definitely hindered the overall story. Just it being someone that
Also,
you just don't care about as much as
like
Joe
of all the fan favorite characters to bring back, why Chris Roydfield over and over again? Like Chris is so played at this point. He has never recovered from 5. After 6, it was clear he would never recover from 5. Like give me Claire, give me Jill, give me Leon. Leon, like they almost can't ruin him because of RE4, but like the combination of Ethan and Chris narrative wise is just like, oh, I'm not happy about literally any of this. But like,
I mean, I like the switch up. I mean, spoilers, but I like the Chris switch up just because I feel like Chris at this point he's such a veteran. Like seeing a whole Wolf Squad come out and the team drop down and stuff like that. I was like, I don't need to see Chris in a game anytime soon. But I like that they had that moment in the game because he's professional.
Man,
they be able to handle these kind of biohazard issues.
Like
pretty
when there's a boulder that needs punched, I've got him on speed dial. But like
they really kind of Liam Neeson'd him up for this game.
Yeah, he was great in Code Veronica too. Like he has more personality in that game than any other future
That's my
games,
point.
which is so
like,
weird.
Who the fuck is he at this point?
He's just the silent badass. He's the Mandalorian, right? That's what he's.
This is my Ozzy. What is going on in Mario moment? Like, what the fuck is going? But like, the story is a little bit more important in Resident Evil, considering that's how they hook you. Like, I think what Village does right. The opening is awesome. Like, I was pulled in. I wanted to know why Chris was like such an asshole this time, and what was going on with Mia. But like from there, like I really liked the exploration. But I think to speak to the dilution of horror that you mentioned, Denny, this game was very much they wanted it to be in the vein of RE4, and like RE4 is more action than horror, and like I feel like that's why a lot of the horror didn't come through. Whereas Resident Evil 4, like it knows exactly what it is, and it still has those horror moments, but none of RE8 felt clean to me. I actually like 7 more, and I don't really care for either of them. Just because I felt like 7 was so much more cohesive overall, and I don't know. They're trying to make me care about Ethan Winters, and I just can't do it. I think he's so bland, and he comes across as so stupid. And for Resident Evil characters, that's really saying something.
To me, it felt more like Batman. Like, I'm here for the Rose Gallery. Not really here for the Bruce shenanigans. I'm here for like the zany villains.
It's all Vampire Lady.
And
I was
Heisenberg.
gonna say, like,
it's all
how can
Vampire
we
Lady.
mention this game without mentioning the big lady? If this was an award for outstanding cosplay achievement, I would give it to RE8.
Yeah. I didn't hate RE8. I didn't have that much passion for it. Like I just wish I liked it more than I did, is the only way I can put it.
I let David and Greg's hype level determine if I play an RE game or not. And then I'll also TJ when it comes to the RE4 VR, obviously. But yeah, I think
TJ made me buy a Meta Quest.
TJ made me do it.
TJ made me go out and buy a Meta Quest 2. He got
And
me
you'll
so
notice, like, I haven't said much about Resident Evil Village during any of these deliberations, and that's because, like, I have similar problems to Dave. I think that there's Resident Evil Village feels built more like a Mega Man game than it feels built like a Resident Evil game.
It is not cohesive.
There's these various standout characters that all have their own very specific theme to them, and some of those themes are good. Lady Dimitrescu, I liked exploring that castle, and I liked dealing with the threat of her. I also like dealing with Belladonna. It's the best Silent Hill homage that's been put in a game this year. Or I think that's her name, Belladonna, the puppet girl.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like Bienvenido or whatever.
Yeah.
So I want to move this along because there's probably more nominations. Do we have any more dragging of RE8 that we need to do, or are we good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, but no, it's a good nomination. I do think that game kind of it's one of those early in the year releases, Denny. I think that they tend to be forgotten, um, because millisecond culture or whatever. Anyone else have a nomination for this category? Nope. No. Okay, cool. Let's vote. Start with Chris.
Go with Death's Door.
Nice. I'm gonna
Chris,
hold off.
are you playing that on PC, Chris?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really liking it.
Yeah, I got it on Steam too. I didn't even know it was on Switch.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker. I'm a sap. I'm gonna double dip on that.
I will double dip. Yeah.
You know what's an indie game anyway. I don't mind double dipping.
Yeah, I want to help them out anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, when there's a good game made by an indie, I'm not upset to pay $40 to help them out just because I want to play it on two platforms.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna pass just because I'm wearing a wig and everything, so I'd rather be the last person to vote. Blake, what you got?
You know I'm knocking on death's door here, baby.
Knocking on death's door. Bill, are you also on?
Yeah.
You know what? I am gonna go Deathloop. I don't know that Deathloop's gonna get shut out, but it shouldn't. So just in case, I'm gonna throw the Deathloop bone.
That's the thing. Both of those games are like solid nominations. They're very different.
I could
games
say
to do.
either one and be happy. I'm certainly I can't. I almost can't even choose between the two because they're both incredible. But I don't want Deathloop to get shut out.
For sure. TJ, are you sticking with Deathloop? Your nomination?
Of course I am.
Oh, there you go.
Deathloop.
Yeah.
Okay. Greg, you gonna stick with Psychonauts?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Psychonauts. I really do enjoy that game. Yep, I'm gonna stick with Psychonauts.
Donovan, you were awfully quiet during this deliberation. What do you think of all this?
Deathloop. Yeah, I would have nominated it. TJ didn't, but I let him
Okay.
take the floor on that one. I know he was really passionate about that game, but yeah, I echo everything that he said about it. So, Deathloop
You
for
just
sure.
sat there nodding approvingly to everything TJ said
Yeah.
about Deathloop. I was
It's a great
kind of on
game.
that same wavelength. Denny, are you sticking with RE8?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Village, but if
Nice.
I wasn't, I would go with Deathloop.
Yeah. David, you gonna stick with your nomination of Death's Door?
That was my nomination.
Oh, that's
Well,
right.
yeah, Blake and I both.
You both were like,
we showed up for the dinner party. Blake brought the wine. I bought the Cheetos.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah,
They pair well.
I'm gonna stick with Death's Door. I really like Deathloop as well, but like I explained earlier, like this a certain game it just fits my head canon of action adventure. So
That's basically it for me too. I'm like,
well,
yeah.
let's it's very close, folks. I'm gonna let you know that this is a very close vote, so we're gonna go look at our absentee ballots here. I believe we have Ozzy Mejia and Sam Chandler hopefully wrote in some votes here. Ozzy voted for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
that's an action adventure, I guess. I guess so.
Yeah. I mean, it's action. It's adventure.
It's not that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, this is kind of a nebulous category.
It is. That's fair.
And the fact that we have like an isometric adventure game and an FPS in the same category speaks to how weird this category is.
Yeah.
Sam Chandler, our resident Australian, voted for Deathloop.
I fear my fear of being shut out was misguided.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think that was gonna happen.
I'm gonna come in here with the steel chair and vote for Death's Door, and that's gonna cause a runoff election here.
Wow.
It's tied 4-4. That's why I waited, because I was like, I do like Deathloop a lot, like a lot. I think it's a better winner in another category, personally. That's the main reason. I don't want to say this is not like throwing shade at any of these games. I just think Death's Door really fits this category, and I think it's kind of slipping under the radar for some people this year. So we have Ozzy's vote is going to be still for Ratchet, but it's Denny and Greg need to choose, and if they both choose opposite games, we're gonna have to find Ozzy.
To locate Ozzy.
And then
Well-
Ozzy's going to full. Just for folks at home watching this, we're filming this the day of the Game Awards. Ozzy Mejia is going to the Game Awards.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would go with Deathloop
Okay.
on that end.
Yeah,
Greg?
I'll go Deathloop.
Okay.
What?
Wow.
Aw.
Okay.
Well,
I'm
it's
not
a
even
good game.
mad. That's
I'm
a
not
great
mad
pick.
either.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
both
They're both
excellent
good
games.
games.
Yeah.
Speaks to the weirdness of this category that we had Psychonauts, RE8, Ratchet and Clank, Deathloop, and Death's Door all nominated in the same category. I think this is probably the only category that you would see that happen.
Yeah,
Outside of Game of the Year, right? Like,
Yeah.
maybe someone's Game of the Year would be that.
Very eclectic. Yeah.
But yeah, look, I'm never gonna complain about giving Arcane props for making awesome games, and this is the Deathloop. TJ, is it fair to say it's like maybe the best Arcane game they've ever made?
I think that's more than fair. Like, I think that's cut and dry the truth.
Yeah, it's like they've built on everything. They've learned
Mhm.
from everything, and it's just it's a games are packages of emphasis, and I think they put together the right things in this game compared to some of their past ones. But yeah,
I'll be very
Deathloop.
quick. I'll be very quick with this. Josh Sawyer.
Yeah.
I think he's Pillars of Eternity, right?
Mhm.
I just stumbled upon him one night streaming Deathloop, and it's not about the action adventure, but him exploring the levels as a developer that makes games was mind blowing for the details that he was able to pick out that you just don't pick up as a gamer. You don't understand how that thing was done, and I just
He was positively giddy about that game on that
it
stream.
it just speaks to what you were saying about how it's the best Arcane game
Yeah.
ever. Is that like it's not even just the action adventure, like it's deep in the details. So that's all I
Yeah,
wanted
it's
to
the
say.
core gameplay loop. It's the weapon design. It's the hilarious interactions with NPCs. Like it's
And
all
there's
of
a
it.
whole multiplayer component because like I
Yeah.
had my friend and made my game,
Yep.
which was pretty cool.
So we did it. It was very close. And props
It
to
was.
Death's Door, and I hope Death's Door is nominated again in another category because I really do. I think that's a special game that I'm going to keep playing, and so is Deathloop.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Arcane Studios, and I guess is that Microsoft?
Yeah, my Xbox games.
Xbox?
Bethesda and Microsoft, yeah.
Yeah, but
Congratulations to Xbox on releasing a game on PS5 that you didn't really have to, I guess. I guess there's probably contractual obligations. Either
Yeah.
way,
Yeah, there it is.
you're the best action adventure game of the year 2021 here at Shacknews.
Yeah.